So apparently, people just learned a new word, Groyper. They're not a Pokémon, they're not a snack food, they're Nick Fuentes' army of extremely online shitposters, a group that's been trolling mainstream conservatives for years and turning cruelty into a kind of inside joke. And now they're all over the headlines after Charlie Kirk's killing. If you weren't on 4chan or YouTube in the 2010s, none of this makes sense. It sounds like gibberish, but that's kind of the point. Groypers thrive on being incomprehensible to normies. Their language is memes, their politics is trolling, and their power comes from the fact that a whole generation gets the joke while their parents and politicians don't. Before conspiracy theories take over, let's try and get one thing straight. What even is a Groyper? Let's start here. Groypers are shitposters. That is the core of their identity. A shitpost is an intentionally nasty, absurd, or low-effort piece of content. It's designed to either offend, confuse, or just amuse somebody. On 4chan and in Groyper spaces, saying something racist, anti-Semitic, or cruel isn't always about belief. It's about trolling. It's about finding it funny. That's the pipeline. Post enough edgy jokes and suddenly the line between irony and belief blurs. What started as just trolling becomes your worldview. And importantly, a lot of this revolves around one figure, Nick Fuentes. Groypers aren't just random shitposters, they're his shitposters. He's the podcaster and activist they follow, their self-declared general, and the person who's kind of shaped this whole movement. This is the part that older generations miss. For young people who grew up online, edgy humor is everywhere. They're desensitized. Guys like this and these guys have been running around for decades now. They're not new, and they've been kind of everywhere. A furry meme on a bullet casing, they'll laugh. A political assassination framed as a meme, they'll laugh too. But that doesn't make it harmless. It makes it more dangerous, because slowly but surely, violence becomes entertainment. The generational gap. Here's why this is all so hard to explain and why so many politicians, media personalities, and mainstream publications are getting lost or just getting it a bit wrong. If you're over 40, maybe, these bullet casing engravings sound nonsensical. But for anyone who's been very online, it is instantly recognizable as a mix of gamer jokes and internet irony. And there's that generational gap. Older people see nonsense, younger people see memes. And for Groypers, that's the point. Their whole culture is opaque by design. It builds community for those in the know while alienating everybody else. That's why women and marginalized groups online have been raising alarms for years. Because they've seen how just jokes can shift into a worldview. And they've also seen how impossible it is to explain that danger to people who don't speak the language. Why it works. So why do people end up here? First, it's community. Posting a racist frog meme isn't just about the meme. It's a way of saying, I'm in the club. The uglier the post, the more committed you seem. It's belonging through transgression. Second, it's emotional. Groyper memes offer certainty, purpose, and a sense of superiority. As the editor of Know Your Meme put it, people in 2025 want security, patronage, and certainty. We want to laugh, believe ourselves to be correct about things, and feel respected by others. Non-fascist culture needs to start doing these things, or else more and more of us will go Groyper. And finally, the algorithm loves it. Extreme offensive content goes viral. Fuentes and his followers know this, and they monetize it through donations, merch, even gambling streams. Hate has become both a joke and a business model. But also, this is like the only model they've known. Some of these boys are really young. They've never lived in a world where information and worldviews and updates were gatekept by television stations. They never lived in a time where this kind of online culture didn't exist. So then what are Groypers actually? Fair question. Let us try and define them. If you haven't yet, I recommend you watch yesterday's video on Nick Fuentes as well. A lot of good background. The word itself comes from a meme, can you believe? A chubby, chin-resting version of Pepe the Frog that popped up on 4chan sometime around 2015. By 2019, Nick Fuentes had adopted it as the mascot for his America First movement. Today, Groypers are Fuentes' network of followers, mostly young men, mostly extremely online, who describe themselves as Christian nationalists. They're anti-LGBTQ+, anti-feminist, anti-immigration, and convinced mainstream conservatives like Charlie Kirk are sellouts. But I have to say, there is a bit more to it when it comes to their LGBTQ+ views. They get into trans-maxing and looks-maxing, but we can't be here all day, so you're just gonna have to put a pin in that one for now because it's a lot. But I say that because it's really important to note that many of their beliefs aren't as black and white as you'd think, or as mainstream media are currently reporting. I'm not saying it's good, but I'm saying horseshoe theory hits these guys like a ton of bricks, and sometimes their opinions get so warped and strange that they end up back on the other side. All to say, if this is all brand new to you, you are going to get your head around all of this right away. But just remember there is some confusing nuance to their take on a lot of things. Anyway, for the sake of simplicity, think of them as the radicalized younger cousins of MAGA. If MAGA wants to make America great again, Groypers want to burn it down and rebuild it, starting with their memes. Kirk vs. Fuentes, the Groyper War. The Groypers first broke into mainstream conservative politics back in 2019. Charlie Kirk was touring college campuses with his events, hyped up as the next big conservative youth star. Fuentes' fans showed up at the Q&As, not to support him, but to ambush him. They asked questions laced with anti-Semitic conspiracy theories, mocked him as a cuck, and live-streamed it all. Fuentes' broadcast sometimes got more views than Charlie Kirk's own ones. Online, Groypers framed it as exposing Kirk as a fraud. There was the Groyper War, a moment that they went from obscure meme cult to an actual force within conservative politics. So the idea that Kirk's killer might have been influenced by Groyper memes and stuff isn't totally random. It fits a long-running feud. Nothing is proven yet, but I do think it's safe to say that the shooter has some sort of affiliation with Groypers. To what extent? We don't know yet. Even if Fuentes didn't pull the trigger, Kirk's death does leave a vacuum in the youth conservative space, one that Fuentes could easily benefit from. Charlie Kirk's death as a meme. This part's a little bit hard to say out loud, but to Groypers, Kirk's assassination is probably content. Remember, this is a group that treats everything as a joke, even their own ideology. The engravings on those bullet casings weren't a manifesto. They were trolling. They were meant to confuse, to provoke, to get a reaction. It worked. And now, the killing itself has become a giant shitpost. To Groypers, the media frenzy isn't horrifying, it's hilarious. They think it proves their point, that they can hijack the conversation with memes even in the wake of real-world violence. And that's the real danger here. Not just that one man is dead, but that a whole online culture sees his death as a punchline, something to do because it's funny. Personally, this is crazy to me because I remember this type of culture being born. I was there many years ago in the late 2000s, gaming and shitposting like everyone else, but I saw it get weirder and meaner, and I logged off for years. Coming back, I was like, whoa. Now seeing a furry meme on a bullet casing is absolutely surreal because I remember when that joke was just an in-joke on forums making fun of furries. Now it's part of a murder scene. It's crazy. And it makes me sad and angry. Sad because women online have been calling this for decades. Angry because they weren't listened to. Sad because these young boys are so lonely that they find connection in hating others. Angry that nobody can seem to get through to them. And angry that we let a culture fester that honestly maybe could have been solved with a hug. Now somebody's dead and Groypers have more attention than ever. Where things stand. Right now, investigators still haven't pinned down the shooter's motive. Some say leftist influence, others say Groyper culture. Fuentes insists his movement is being framed. But here's what's undeniable. Groypers thrive on attention, whether it's memes, trolling Kirk, or speculation about assassination. All of it feeds their growth. So hit subscribe if you want more deep dives into stories like this, from Groypers to Epstein to whatever billionaire is messing with democracy this week. Bye.